Hi, thanks. Hello, good morning. Come around here. Dr. Karygiannis, if you just want to come here, and then I'll introduce you. Good morning, everyone. Bonjour tout le monde. Je suis ici avec mon collègue, Monsieur Jim Karygiannis, et des représentants du Conseil canadien de la Libye. I'm very happy to be here with my colleague Jim Karygiannis and members of the Libyan community. I'm going to introduce Dr. Sal Elgiriani, who's the head of the Canadian Libyan Council. Mr. Elgiriani will be making a statement, and then he will be introducing certain other members of the group to talk about the situation on hand in Libya as they see it. We have one doctor here who's just 48 hours back from Libya, so he can give us firsthand account of what's taking place. I will have some comments to make at the end of their comments, and very much appreciate everyone being here this morning. Thank you so much. Mr. Elgiriani.
Thank you. Thank you, everybody, for coming. First, we would like to start by thanking Canada for the support that they have showed over the last few years, especially the military support and the humanitarian support that was delivered on the borders to the people who had to leave the country, and they were stuck at the border for many days and weeks and months. We've been in contact with the Canadian officials, with the Liberal parties, and with everybody that we can get hold of. We have certain items or certain things that we would love to have the Canadian government address. The first one, or number one issue that we have, we're concerned about, or we would love to see action on, is the unfreezing of the Libyan assets held in Canada. Specifically, we're not asking for Canadian money. We're asking for the Libyan money that's been frozen either through the Canadian process or through the United Nations process. As far as the Canadian process, it should be done by the Canadian government. Also, the United Nations money that has been frozen should be the Canadian government. We would like the Canadian government to apply to the UN to unfreeze the assets. So this is the number one issue that we have. The second issue, the healthcare and the whole entire infrastructure of Libya is in shambles. Gaddafi has ruined the country over the last 42 years. We have over 400 or 600 actually Libyan Canadian doctors who are practicing here in Canada. And we would like to see the Canadian government use our doctors to transfer the technology or the knowledge of the healthcare system to Libya to help the Libyans progress in the next few days and months. The third issue is basically there are certain cases or certain people that they need a special health care or health attention because of the war, and we would love to have the Canadian government bring some of those to look after them. I heard on the news today, there's a young girl, maybe Dr. Abusgaya or Dr. Naimi will speak to those, that lost all her family and she needs medical support. We would love the Canadian government to look after that, or Canada in general. Now, I would like to introduce Khaldoun Naimi. This young doctor here just came from Libya in the last 48 hours, and he spent many trips over the last 6 months visiting Libya, looking after patients either in Tunisia or in Libya. Please, Dr. Naimi.
Thank you very much. I just came back 2 weeks, actually last 48 hours, and we visited some Libyan refugees around the borders in Tunisia mainly. Situations are not bad there, so some of the people are actually coming back. And we visited the nearby cities, nearby Tunisian borders and Western Mountain. Despite the fact these small towns are actually liberated a few months ago, they're still accepting some other refugees coming from north of the country because of the conflict around that zone. So they were basically the main places were accepting either the injured people during that conflict or the refugees which are moved to those areas. What I comment on simply, you can go through those small towns. Basic infrastructure does not exist at all. Electricity, water, communications. Hospitals are in bad shape to accept even regular patients. Not of actually what's happening right now, which is casualty of wars. I've seen lots of cases, innocent people injured with bumps and just walking by streets. Terrible pictures. I don't know if actually those hospitals are actually capable of handling those injured people. In general, we were among too many other doctors coming from all over the world, actually, and we appreciate and we're thankful for whoever comes there to help. And we try to do as much as we can, and we spend around 10 days. Some of the doctors come from Canada as well. Some of them are still there. In summary, things are still not improving the way we think because of the lacking of basic bad infrastructure to start with. And I'd like to introduce Dr. Fathi Bousgaya. He can comment on Dr. Fathi Bousgaya. He's the president of the Libyan Canadian Medical Association.
Go ahead, Fatih.
Thank you, Khaldun. Good morning, everybody. It's a lovely day in Ottawa, and I thank you all for coming here. You noticed that Khaldun didn't mention the young doctor, so the Libyan Canadian Medical Association has been active since the start of the conflict in Libya. As Sal has mentioned, we have over 600 physicians who are practicing here in Canada of Libyan origin. We'd like to capitalize on this expertise and help in Libya. For the last few months, many teams have visited Libya and helped in the conflict and the fighting there. As Khaldun said, Gaddafi's brutal regime has dismantled the healthcare system all along, let alone with the added conflict with the heavy casualties. So what would you like is to have the Canadian Libyan Medical Association, along with the Libyan community, is to have an active role in rebuilding Libya, particularly in the healthcare sectors. The Libyan Canadian physicians here practicing in Canada have many specialties that can be used in the relief efforts, and they are using now. As we speak, tomorrow there will be another team who's going to Misrata, made of about 8 Canadian Libyan physicians to help in the suspected conflict still in going around Sirte area. So the message really from the Libyan Canadian Medical Association is that we would like to be an active participant in helping the Canadian government, particularly in the healthcare sectors. The Canadian Libyan community, although young community, is made largely of professionals, a large number of professionals through engineers and physicians. We would like in the rebuilding of Libya to take an active role along with the Canadian government and Canadian people. I'd like to present you with our Quebec member of the Canadian Libyan Council, Brahim Ben Wafa, Dr. Brahim Ben Wafa, who will speak to you, address you in French.
Bonjour, je voudrais tout d'abord vous remercier de votre présence.
Un peu plus fort. Il
Pardon?
faut parler un peu plus fort.
Un peu plus fort, ok.
Plus proche
Bon,
du
ok.
micro. Voilà.
Ok. Ok. Bonjour. Je voudrais tout d'abord vous remercier de votre présence et d'exprimer notre gratitude pour le support que le gouvernement et le peuple canadien a apporté à notre peuple durant cette terrible crise. Ce que nous voulons en premier, c'est le dégel des avoirs libyens. Comme vous savez, nous sommes dans un besoin impérieux pour couvrir les besoins à cause des dégâts causés par cette guerre. Et aussi, nous voulons votre aide concernant dans le domaine médical et de nous aider aussi à instaurer un système démocratique après une longue période de dictature. OK, merci.
Thank you very much to our Libyan friends, and just want to say on behalf of the Liberal Party of Canada that Mr. Karygiannis and I and a number of my colleagues have been meeting with members of the Libyan Council over the last several months. They've been very productive meetings because it's given us a chance to understand better not only the situation on the ground in Libya, but also to have a real sense of what is being done within the Libyan community. All Canadians should know that members of the Libyan community have raised literally millions of dollars in support of this effort. I'm pleased to say there's now a charitable number which applies to these relief efforts in Libya. And we'll be putting up some of that information on the Liberal website today that will allow people to have an opportunity to see what can be done to further the requests. I met with Canadian officials yesterday. Was told that the U.S. and the U.K. had both applied successfully to the United Nations last week and the beginning of this week in order to unfreeze certain funds. And I don't know why Canada would be waiting or would be delaying its request to the United Nations, and we're asking today that that be done as quickly as possible. I don't know why Canada has to be third or fourth or fifth or sixth in line in order to get this done. Secondly, there are certain funds that are frozen that are covered by Canadian legislation. Not huge amounts of money, but still would be good to get moving on that. They're covered by the Canadian legislation, and there's nothing stopping the government from unfreezing those assets right away. We think it can be done quickly. We'd also like to see the Canadian government be a little bit more imaginative in terms of dealing with the Libyan relief effort here in Canada, and to work with the community here and with the Canadian medical community to see if we can't do something in order to match the efforts that are coming from the community. We fully support the request from the community for assistance on the democratic front and on the democratic side. We do think that Canada has a role to play in the constitutional and other changes which will be underway in Libya. While it's true that the Libyan National Council has said that it does not want United Nations troops to be there, it has expressed an interest in having police assistance with policing and assistance with providing greater security. And again, that's an area in which we think Canada can be helpful and can be part of a broader international effort. I know that it's the afternoon in Paris, and I hope that the Prime Minister is able to get a sense of what it is the community here is looking for. I've had very good discussions with Mr. Baird on these subjects, and simply want to emphasize that we will continue to be constructive and, of course, entirely civil in our tone with respect to this discussion on what we can do in Libya. Je suis très heureux d'avoir eu la participation de nos collègues du Conseil national ici au Canada. Nous avons du travail à faire. Nous voulons voir un dégel immédiat des fonds qui sont contrôlés par les Nations unies, autant que les fonds qui sont contrôlés par le gouvernement canadien. Je crois que c'est important. Et ça a été fait par à la fois les États-Unis, à la fois par le Royaume-Uni, et j'entends que même aujourd'hui, la France a dégelé certains fonds immédiatement pour la Libye. Alors, c'est possible de le faire, et il n'y a pas aucune raison pourquoi le Canada doit être le dernier dans la ligne. Deuxième point, nous voulons que le gouvernement travaille effectivement avec la communauté libyenne surtout pour les questions humanitaires et médicales. Il y a beaucoup qu'on peut faire. Il y a plus de 600 médecins libyens, d'origine libyenne, qui travaillent au Canada. On peut travailler ensemble d'une manière effective, et j'espère que ça peut se faire. Et finalement, il faut faire l'effort pour encourager la création des institutions plus ouvertes et transparentes et démocratiques en Libye. C'est un travail que le gouvernement du Canada a appuyé dans le passé, et j'espère qu'ils vont l'appuyer dans l'avenir en ce qui concerne la Libye. Thank you very much, and we'll take any questions. I think it would be best if you ask questions to our Libyan friends first, and if you have any questions for me, I'll take them at the end. Thank you.
Are you asking the Canadian government to send 400 or 500 or 600 Canadian Libyan doctors over immediately?
No, of course not. We're simply asking that the Canadian government support the efforts of the community. The community, as I say, has raised a lot of money. There's no reason why the Canadian government couldn't equally make a contribution to those funds that are supporting the medical relief effort that's based in Canada, as it is in the United States and other countries.
That's a question to Mr. Elgin. What kind of health mission are you proposing? You're saying that this should be done. There should be some active role, but what active role? Sending doctors, sending hundreds of doctors?
No, not at all. Right now, we have enough doctors as it is. We are asking to transfer the health system in Libya. So it is more of an expertise in managing the system, how to develop a healthcare system to become a first-class system. Libya has all the funds, has all the resources to build such a system. Unfortunately, Gaddafi chose to use the money to buy military equipment. We have enough doctors. We have surplus doctors, actually. So we don't want Canadian doctors to go there. We don't need, I'm not saying we shouldn't say, well, I don't want, we don't need Canadian doctors to go there. But what we need the system. We need Canada to help us establish a system, utilizing our doctors to transfer this type of system to Libya.
Mission that would organize a hospital system?
Absolutely. Not only that's one aspect. Libya will be making huge investment in the healthcare system in the next few years. There is a technology that exists in Canada here that doesn't exist in Libya. So I think the way I see it is an opportunity for the Canadians in general to provide a better or first-class healthcare system in Libya.
Let me add it to that from the Canadian Libyan Medical Association. The effort, like Mr. Ray has said, has been going on since February. Our first mission went out to help in Libya on the 26th of February. Since then, over 67 Canadian Libyan physicians has visited Libya and spent an average of 2 weeks each. They spent about a total of over 1,100 days of working days in Libya helping out in this conflict. The help we need both on the urgent matter in terms of working with the Canadian government to facilitate that, make it a better, more organized, as well as helping out in the short term. And the long term, like Sal has said, there's a lot to be done for the healthcare system. Just imagine how many casualties so far, killed, injured in Libya in the conflict so far. All those people need to be looked after. It's not just the initial management as well. The restructuring of the healthcare system is one of the biggest priority for Libya next, and the restructuring in the Gaddafi post area. We would like Canada and the Canadian Libyan community to be a leading role, not a step back to the rest of the world. We want it to be a leading role in that.
Est-ce qu'on sait exactement c'est quoi la somme des fonds libyens qui sont gelés au Canada? Est-ce qu'on sait approximativement c'est combien d'argent?
Sal, do you know the amount?
The amount
of funds that's...
We have raised so far in excess of
No. The amount of funds that are frozen.
On the frozen,
3.5 billion.
it's $3.5 billion in Canada.
Can I add just one point? It's important that Canada has a special expertise, especially in the war in Afghanistan. There is a lot of amputees. In Libya, there is at least 1,500, all young people that they need artificial limbs and a rehabilitation program that we do not have back home. So special expertise in this field will be really helpful. And then again, we should emphasize the point, there is a lot of injured people. Although we have doctors, we may not have all the expertise to treat these people. They need immediate care that cannot be provided. I know there are certain people waiting in line in Germany, in France, to have medical care. Turkey taking ships full of injured people to be treated. France taking some, England, Italy, but we haven't seen people come to Canada to have such a treatment. I think it's time for Canada to help us in this regard.
Have any comments on the charge d'affaires that was appointed by Canada to represent the Transitional Council here in Ottawa?
We are absolutely satisfied with that. I think the NTC, the National Transition Council, is taking the right approach. We need people who have experience in these areas. We understand Mr. Karmous was here during Gaddafi's area, but we asked the community in general. We are actually meeting with him after this here to discuss our needs, and he expressed willingness to work with us, and we have no problem. We do support him.
Ray, and for you, sir, as well, Mr. Karygiannis. You're saying Canadians have, and Canada has expertise in, say, hospital infrastructure and systems and planning. On that same line, do you think Canada and countries like Britain and France should have first dibs on helping to rebuild that country, both commercially and through the healthcare system?
I can only refer to what Mr. Mustafa Abdjalil, the head of the NTC, said. Mr. Abdjalil said, those who help us during this period will have first dibs on the any investment in all areas. Yes, go ahead.
Well, those are decisions that we made by the government of Libya. What we're saying is that there's two issues. One is the immediate issue. I think it's important for people to understand it. You've heard a number of humanitarian issues, kids who've had to have their limbs amputated. The effect of the conflict and of the level of violence in the conflict has had a dramatic effect on civilians, and we have to understand that. And then there's a long-term issue of the reconstruction of Libya. Is there an opportunity for Canada, for Canadian business in Libya once the reconstruction starts? Absolutely. There'd be a very real opportunity there because Libya is not a poor country. Libya is a country of 5 million people with significant resource wealth, with a very well-educated population, much of which is now out of the country, some of whom will be returning to Libya. So the opportunities for rebuilding are significant, not only on the political side, but also on the economic side. And there will be an opportunity for Canada once stability is restored.
And when we talk about rebuilding a healthcare system, talk to me like I'm 6. So do you mean that we are going to help them set up, say, a public insurance system, how to manage a hospital,
There's two things, and I appreciate the comment. There's two things. First of all, there's an immediate issue. We have to take care of the people who are sick and make sure that they're being cared for properly. Some of that may require temporarily care in Canada, it may require care in Europe, other things. That effort will be coordinated by the World Health Organization, and we want Canada to be part of that effort that the WHO will be undertaking. The second thing, obviously, is the longer-term issue, and again, the thing to emphasize is what kind of a system Libya establishes will be up to the government of Libya and the people of Libya. It's not up to Canada. But is there an area in which Canada can help in terms of managing and creating a better system? Of course there is, in terms of better management of hospitals, better management of the system, creation of a system of public insurance. There are lots of things which Canada has expertise in which we can help. And again, all we're saying is this is an area in which we want Canada to be involved and to be engaged if that's at all possible. And we think it should be possible. Obviously, there'll be other countries that will want to get engaged. It needs to be coordinated. And it's very important that this be done in a coordinated fashion, that we learn from some of the errors that have been made in other places where we've all gone in. But we do need to help and to be more present, I think, than we've been so far. Yeah.
Si les médecins canadiens libyens sont à peu près 460 personnes, comme ils viennent de l'annoncer, quelle est la façon pratique pour le gouvernement d'intervenir? Est-ce qu'on doit leur donner de l'argent? Est-ce qu'on doit leur donner du temps de congé de leur travail? Comment est-ce que le gouvernement peut intervenir?
Je vais vous donner ma réponse et puis je vais demander à mon collègue de Québec de répondre aussi. De mon avis, il faut comprendre qu'il y a un effort qui existe maintenant dans la communauté. Et tout ce que nous demandons, c'est que le gouvernement appuie cet effort. Il y a maintenant un fonds qui a été créé, un fonds de charité. Je pense que ce serait tout à fait possible pour le gouvernement de matcher les contributions des individus. Jusqu'à ce point, le gouvernement a dit qu'il n'y aura pas de match pour les fonds qui ont été contribués. Nous disons, écoutez, on va essayer de trouver encore de l'argent de la communauté et des autres Canadiens qui veulent aider l'effort. C'est important que le gouvernement canadien fasse quelque chose pour donner encore un incentif aux gens de faire leur contribution. Puis, je ne sais pas, monsieur.
Juste, je veux confirmer ce qu'a dit M. Gariani. Ce qu'on a besoin, ce n'est pas en termes de personnel médical, mais pour instaurer un système médical bien organisé, vu qu'en Libye, le système actuel est vraiment chaotique. Et comme vous avez vu peut-être durant cette guerre, l'état des cliniques, c'est tout ce qu'ils demandent.
Deux questions en français, si vous me permettez. Monsieur Ray, vous venez de dire qu'il y a un fonds de charité qui a été créé et vous demandez que le gouvernement canadien match, c'est votre expression, là, investisse une somme équivalente. Quel est l'argent qui est dans ce fonds-là jusqu'à maintenant? Ça, c'est la première question.
3.7. How much has been raised? 3.7.
Around $4 million.
Yeah.
Environ 4 millions de dollars.
L'autre question que je vais vous poser, c'est la suivante. Nous avons ici des représentants de la communauté libyenne canadienne, avec un représentant, le chef intérimaire du Parti libéral. La question que je pose, est-ce que la communauté libyenne a rencontré des gens du gouvernement conservateur, du gouvernement Harper? Et si vous êtes ici avec quelqu'un du Parti libéral, est-ce que c'est parce que ces rencontres-là avec le gouvernement n'ont pas donné de résultats?
I'll let Mr. Elgariani answer, mais peut-être il va répondre en anglais. Tout ce que je peux dire, que de ma connaissance, d'abord, c'est nous, comme parti, nous avons parlé, c'est nous directement, M. Karygiannis et moi, nous avons contacté la communauté et continué le dialogue ça a duré depuis quelques mois déjà. L'autre chose que je suis certain que la communauté a rencontré des gens du département des Affaires extérieures. Ils ont parlé avec M. Baird, ils ont eu des meetings. Ce n'est pas, si je peux dire, ce n'est pas on ne fait pas ça pour être contrarien. On dit pas ça pour être difficile. Nous disons seulement que voici la communauté qui est ici. Nous avons travaillé avec eux. Voici les choses qu'ils demandent et j'espère que ce sont des demandes qui me semblent complètement raisonnables. Ce n'est pas une question partisane, c'est une question pour tous les Canadiens.
Was asking about whether we met with the Canadian.
Yes.
Yes, we did meet with Minister Baird and Minister Bev Oda about 2 months ago. We had about an hour and a half meeting with both of them with their assistants, and we explained to them basically the same points. We repeated the same points that we have been asking for: unfreezing of the assets, the help in the medical care, looking after some of the injuries. Really, these are the three areas. And let me expand a little bit about our need. We are not really saying that the only thing we're asking for is medical in the future rebuilding of Libya. When you look at Libya, we have 2,000 kilometers of coast on the Mediterranean. This means fisheries. We definitely need the Canadian expertise in fisheries. It's an opportunity for Canada in the fisheries. There is a lot of agriculture in Libya. We also need the Canadian agriculture expertise. We have vast natural resources. We don't need to add to that. Canada has this resource. So anything we need is here in Canada. It's an opportunity for Canadian businesses to invest in Libya. We want Canadian to understand this is an opportunity. It's not going to cost Canada anything. It's basically help us. We need the help in those three areas that we're specifying right now. The opportunity is great. Back to the question the lady asked in the back. Mr. Abdul stated this fact that if you help us right now, we'll keep that in mind. Because we were under oppression for over 42 years. We won our freedom, thanks to the assistance of Canadian forces and the Americans and the British and the French. But we sacrificed 50,000 lives out of 5 million people to gain this freedom. We're extremely proud of what we achieved. We're very happy with Canada, with the Canadians. And we want to everybody know that we're proud of what we've done. We want help in these areas, and there's huge opportunities. Canada helped us. Please keep helping us. and extend our help and move a bit faster than in the past, you always find the Americans and the French and the British in the forefront. Canada has done everything right, except always waited for the other great powers to forward. I can understand that because of the geographical proximity, but we want to bring attention. There is opportunity for community development, sustained community development in Libya.
Thank you. I think we're going to just, last question, sir.
If you would clarify the point you made about the unfreezing of assets, you said that the United States and Britain have successfully applied to the United Nations